Well, the holiday season can be one of the most expensive times of the year, so that's why Mark Triplett, a financial professional, is here to help us tackle that credit card debt ahead of the holidays, because we know we're spending a lot of money during the holidays. Mark, tell me, how common is credit card debt at this time of the year?
Well, credit card debt, unfortunately, is common all throughout the year for some folks. I don't think anybody ever set out to put themselves in that position,
Right.
but we find ourselves in that position. And then on top of that, the holiday season tends to be filled with additional spending. It can be the most expensive time of the year for many families, particularly between travel, gifts, celebrations. It can add up really, really quickly. And if you're putting that on top of credit card debt you already have at really high interest rates, could be upwards of 20%. You're really digging yourself a hole. It's a good time right now to get our hands on that.
And I know it's something a lot of people deal with all throughout the year, like you were saying. But as we get into those holidays where you are spending a lot, how do you recommend just managing and preparing for that time of just high spending?
Sure. Well, personally, I like to make a spending plan. I like to make a spending plan for my life outside of the holidays, but particularly for the holidays. Really budget what can you afford with the cash flow that you have coming into the house, and then really stick to it. If that means maybe cutting back in certain areas, do so. If that means creating more experiences rather than buying gifts that maybe don't have the lasting impact, let's do that instead. But let's be really, really wise about how we spend our resources rather than going further into debt. And when you start putting money on credit cards, it's just plastic, it's just spending. We don't even realize it. And then come January, the bill hits and we have this big hangover.
How early do you recommend kind of locking in that budget and really start making those maybe bigger payments so you don't fall behind come the holidays?
The best time to make the budget was a month ago or 2 months ago, but now is the next best time is right now. Make that spending plan for your household. We have a really great worksheet on our website you can download at no cost, and you can start there. But specifically for the holidays, I actually make my own Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
I list out all of the folks that I might buy something for, and then I set a spending limit for each one. And as I'm going through and finding those deals, I check that off, and I don't overdo it that way.
Okay, so the main thing is plan as much as you can is kind of what I'm picking up.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people though who maybe do struggle and maybe are still trying to pay off that credit card debt or do have some expenses coming up that they will be paying off during the holidays, just what is the best way to kind of navigate that?
So I think one of the best ways to do that first is to make sure that you are not overspending any further than you already have, okay? If you can, start to put any additional cash flow down towards those debt that you already have, the credit card debt. Start paying those down the best you can, and avoid going further into debt. It's really, really important that if you free up cash flow in one area, you can apply that somewhere else. So let's say you've got 3 credit cards, they all have debt on them. Maybe you spread it around because that felt good, but now it's time to focus on one of them, pay it down, not just make the minimum payment, but really tackle it. And then you can free up that cash flow and apply it to the next one and the next one. And sooner than later, you're gonna get yourself out of debt.
Okay, what are some things I'm forgetting to ask you about holiday spending and just being prepared for it?
I think, if you find yourself in a position where you're in debt right now and you've already done all the cutting back that you can, maybe not spending money on takeout or things like that, or Uber Eats to get some soggy hamburger that costs you the same amount to have delivered to you.
It's cold anyway.
I know, right? But if you've done all of that, then maybe you take on a part-time job or a seasonal side gig or something like that to generate some extra income this time of year. But just, I beg you, please don't go further into debt. I see, unfortunately, some folks that have really dug themselves holes, and the finance charges themselves are more than what they're actually bringing in to pay for that debt. It's really, really unfortunate, and I hate to see that. Nobody sets out to do that on purpose. It just happens over time because we don't track it. If you don't track it, you can't manage it.
Absolutely. Start planning now because we know it can get expensive. All right, Mark Triplett, thank you so much. Very good advice right there ahead of the holidays.
Thanks for having me.